Folks, I'm tired. I am absolutely tired of this sealed retro video game craze that seems to be taking over the internet over the past couple of years. Now, we all know that retro video game prices never crashed like they were supposed to. Of course, there was supposed to be this big crash that was coming and all of your video games would be worthless, but that never happened. If anything, more systems were just added into this. Now, things like GameCube games, PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2 games are starting to skyrocket in price right alongside of the NES games and the Super Nintendo games that might have sort of peaked, but they never went down. They never crashed or anything like that. It just created a marketplace. Now, I'm not a pocket watcher. I'm not a wallet watcher. You can do whatever you want with your money. You want to spend a couple $100s on a video game? That's cool with me, man. You earn that money. Do what you want to do with it. But the problem is, once we start talking about artificial inflation, the problem is, once you start looking at what's going on behind the scenes to create this artificial inflation and all these people making all this money on it, the problem is, there's something sinister going on with this. We've seen over the past couple of months all of these video games that are selling, that are sealed games, that are now reaching record highs and breaking records. And we're not talking about a couple grand here. We're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars, millions of dollars, $2 million for a copy of Super Mario Brothers. And maybe some people are scared to call this out. Maybe some people just don't understand what's going on with it. But I'm not scared to call it out. So that's what we're doing in this video today, because I think it's bullshit. I think there's sinister things happening with this, and if you look at the track record of some of these companies, you can kind of prove that it is happening too. So that's what we're going to do in today's video. If this is your first time on the channel, subscribe, like the video, all that bullshit. But I'm pissed. I'm going to swear a lot in this video, but yeah, we're just going to dive into it because it's ridiculous. A $2 million copy of Super Mario Brothers. Like, Jesus Christ. So a lot of this stems from the whole graded video game scene that has come along lately and has just been absolutely wrecking what video game prices were. Taking a sealed copy of a game, maybe a game like a Super Mario Brothers, you send it into this company, they analyze it, they give it a rating of based on how it is sealed and the quality of the seal on it and whatnot, and then they send it back to you in a nice acrylic case. Now, of course, this costs money to have your game graded, to send in your game, and they're so backlogged right now that in order to get your game graded in a timely manner, you're talking about a couple $100s. Even at the base level, it's pretty expensive to get your game graded. And why would people want to get their game graded? Well, of course, because they could throw it up on eBay and maybe get a bunch of money from it because it has a little grade scale on it. Now, there's been different video game companies over the years that have been doing grading, but WATA is pretty much the new standard in this. And you can look at the history of WATA, how it came to fruition, the ties with Nintendo Age forums, how they got rid of prices on their video games once WATA got involved, the whole where they graded a fake prototype of a Super Nintendo game and said it was authentic. Like, yeah, mistakes happen, but all you had to do was open up the board and see, hey, this is a fake prototype, and you wouldn't have graded it. But of course, they didn't do that. They gave it a grading system anyways and sent it back to the owner. You can look at the ties with Heritage Auctions as well. Now they're working directly with Heritage Auctions, where all of a sudden Heritage Auctions is selling a $800,000 copy of The Legend of Zelda. They're selling a 1.56 million copy of Super Mario 64 sealed. So yeah, there's a lot of sinister things that are going on with this. And what's at the end of it? What can you see with the base goal of this is that it's money. Because grading a game, simply grading a game does not give it a value, okay? A game has a value based on the marketplace, but when you grade a video game, you're essentially just throwing it out there as a new marketplace. You take a game that you maybe is worth, you know, a couple $100 that's sealed, and now all of a sudden it's worth a couple $1,000 because it has a grading on it, because it has a little acrylic plastic case on it. So I digress. You know, obviously, there's a lot of things you could say about that. There's a lot of things you could say about Heritage Auctions. You know, there's a lot of things you could say about the people that are supposedly buying these games for millions and millions of dollars, because it really doesn't make sense. And a lot of people say, oh, it's like comic books, it's like action figures, it's like other sort of collectible items. And I don't really buy that, because when you're talking about comic books, you're talking about things that are actually rare because of the fact that it's a book and, you know, it's made out of paper and it probably wouldn't have survived over all these years. A sealed action figure, kind of the same sort of thing. These things are really rare. A sealed copy of Super Mario Brothers, I could go on eBay right now and look and see that there's a bunch of copies on there. So why are these copies selling for $2 million? And this wasn't even through Heritage Auctions. This was through another company. And when I read up about this company in a New York Times article, I was blown away. I was blown away by their business model that is going on with this. So this is the article from the New York Times. You can see here, a Super Mario Bros. Game sells for $2 million. That's a fancy headline there. You're going to get people thinking that everything that they have is worth $1 billion. Oh, look, a 9.8 rating on it. Look at the seal quality on it. Like, get out of here. That's not worth $2 million. But like I said, this wasn't done through heritage auctions. This was actually done through a company called Rally, which I've actually seen Rally before. I didn't know they did video games, but they do a lot of old cars and things like that. You know, things that are actually worth money, things that are actually interesting that people would want to collect, not a sealed copy of an unrare video game that sold millions of copies on the Nintendo Entertainment System. But Rally does something very interesting when it comes to their stuff here. Scrolling down the article, we're going to read this here. The past 2 record sales were made via an auction. Rally uses a different system. The company buys physical collectibles like comic books and cars and invites people to invest in shares of the individual items as they would a stock. When someone makes an offer to buy one of the items outright, Rally takes that offer to the investors who vote on whether to sell and cash out their share of the profits or to decline. Rally bought the Super Mario Bros. Game for $140,000 in April of 2020. Investors shot down a $300,000 offer for it last year. The $2 million offer from the anonymous buyer, a collector who is making big bets in the video game marketplace, won the approval of 3/4 of the game investors. And then some kid, a law student kid, invested $100 in the game and got $950 in profit from the sale. Are you dead ass right now? This is what we're doing. This is what we're doing. We're investing in video games. We are investing in video games like the stock market, where we buy a small piece of a video game that this Rally company purchased for a small price in hopes that Rally will be able to sell this game at a higher price and someone will come along and say, oh, I want to buy this game. So Rally spent $140,000 for this about a year or so ago, and then it sells for $2 million. So if this person who paid $2 million for it was really a collector and really someone who was interested in buying video games, don't you think they would have taken their happy ass to eBay? Don't you think they would have maybe, oh, I don't know, bought the game when it was $140,000 last year instead of paying $2 million for it? Does none of this seem suspicious to you? Does none of this seem like a scam to you? Does none of this seem like artificial inflation to you? Does none of this seem like bullshit to you? This is absolute. I can hardly put into words what this is. And like I said, I don't care what people do with their money, but there's obviously something sinister going on here, because if this person was smart, they would have spent $140,000 on the same copy of the game last year and got it graded themselves. Maybe this was a graded copy, maybe this wasn't a graded copy. But to sit there and say that this is normal and this is going to become the new normal with video games is absolutely ridiculous. Look, you know what? Super Mario Brothers, right here, baby, right here. You know what? It's an authentic copy. I can tell you it's an authentic copy. And yeah, it's not new. It's not sealed or anything like that. But you can actually play this version of the game. You can pop it into your NES since you're such a big collector and you have a lot of money, Mr. $2 million man. So if you want to give me $100,000 for this copy, you know what? I'll sign it. I'll have it graded, because obviously if they're grading prototype games, I mean, I can get this copy graded even though that prototype was a fake thing. This is none of this seem bizarre to you. I really think there's a lot of money laundering going on here. I think there are tax related things happening here. And like I said, you know, I don't care how you spend your money, but when you're adding to a marketplace that's obviously fraudulent, when you're adding into a marketplace that's obviously built on scams, that people are getting rich off of this, because remember, it costs you a substantial amount of money to have your video game graded in the first place. And now your graded video game could potentially net these things, or maybe not, because a lot of video games that are graded just sit on eBay forever and ever and ever, because nobody in their right mind is paying $20,000 or $30,000 for a game that you could buy for a couple dollars. And that's what it really boils down to. I don't care about your collecting habits, but I do question the collecting habits when there's obviously something else going on here. No copy of Super Mario Brothers, one of the most successful games on the NES, if not the most successful game on the NES, is selling for $2 million. It's bullshit. It's bullshit, and there's something else going on here. And I think this whole plan is going to unravel as time goes on. You're going to see more and more instances of this popping up, but finally, maybe some people will question it, and maybe some people will call it out. Like I said, I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit if I piss off WATA, if I piss off heritage auctions, if I piss off Rally. When you're doing something sinister and it's clear as day to anyone with a brain that you're doing something sinister, I'm gonna call you out. So yeah, Yeah, I just wanted to bitch about this, man. Like, I just think it's so ridiculous that this is now what video game collecting is getting to. These $1 million prices on common video games because they're sealed because some company who can't tell their head from their ass said that it was worth money because of the great sealing on this. And it's just like, come on, man. No. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I enjoyed making it. I enjoy yelling about things if you haven't picked up on that. Let me know what you think of everything in the comments section down below. Are you excited for your new marketplace for retro video games? We're going to have to spend millions and millions of dollars on games in order just to get them because, I mean, that's the way it looks like it's going. Yay! And as always, if this is your first time on the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Be sure to like and share the video as well. And as always, I'll catch you guys on the next one. Later.